Welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and inspire joy. Be empowered to balance your mental, physical, financial, aspirational, and social health while providing mental health awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental illness in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. It Joy, and I'm here to help you transform life's challenges into opportunities for joy. Let's begin the journey together. Hello, everyone. It is another Thursday, and we are in episode 116. Joy is still possible. We're talking depression, suicide, and saving lives. I'm going to talk about the QPR method. It is September, and September is Suicide Prevention Month. So, can't let September go by without talking about suicide. September is also self-awareness, self-care awareness month as well. And so next week, I'll be merging Suicide Prevention Month with Self-Care Awareness Month and talking about how self-care can save lives as well. So let's break the stigma. Let's break the silence when it comes to talking about depression and talking about suicide, and just be okay talking about uncomfortable things. Be okay not being okay, right? And talking about how each of us can play a role in saving lives, because suicide is preventable. It is preventable. So, how can you save a life? Did you know that every 11 minutes someone dies by suicide in the US? And we also know that it's preventable. Every 11 minutes? Yikes. So even in the darkest moments, to know that joy is still possible and to know there's a strategy out there that you can use to save or help a loved one, that's what this episode is all about. So what is depression? I talk about joy a lot, which means I talk about depression a lot, because the opposite of joy is depression, stress, anxiety, all those things. Depression is more than just sadness. It's one symptom. I was just explaining that to a patient. When you get your depression healed, it doesn't mean you're not going to feel sad anymore. Sadness is a normal human emotion. So it is okay to be sad, but it's not okay to be sad plus hopeless plus irritable plus withdrawn plus having changes in sleep and appetite, low energy, low mood, concentration, thoughts of worthlessness, all those things. That's what makes depression. So there's sad mood, and then there's all those other things that creates depression, or that we call depression. Depression isn't weak. It's what a lot of us feel like, that mental illness is weak. Depression isn't weak. It's an illness. It's a disorder, and we deserve compassion and care. You deserve compassion and care if that is what you are going through. When I try to think, like, have I ever come close to feeling depressed? Honestly, I think back, and it's interesting because I actually had a dream I was in China last night. But I feel like the closest I've come to depression was my first international trip in 2004, the summer I was in undergrad, one of the summers. And I was there for a 3-month program. It was my first international experience, and it's to China, the most opposite environment that I'm used to, right? It literally felt like this foreign land, like I was in outer space. It was completely different. And I was with a group of people. Maybe one of them was my friend before coming, but it was a group of 9 of us and didn't really know them. The homesickness kicked in, and I felt like people weren't accepting me. People didn't know me well, so they didn't get my jokes or sarcasm, and all the negative thoughts rushed in. I really do feel like I was feeling hopeless and worthless and feeling like a burden, getting withdrawn from the other people in the group, definitely feeling sad. So I definitely feel like that was a depression that I have personally felt. So I know what it feels like. And thinking about other times in my life where burnout and stress turned into something deeper. Hormones get to you when you become pregnant. and right after pregnancy. And I feel like I've felt that hopelessness and sadness before as well. So it's not just something that affects certain people, it can affect me and you. And when it gets so deep that they don't want to be here, they don't want to live in their life, that's when it turns into suicidal thoughts. And suicide, there's a couple of type of suicide. Or 2 different types of suicidal thoughts, I would say. So I ask people, "Hey, you feeling like you wanna die? You feeling suicidal? Is it passive or is it active? Because both thoughts are not so good, but one is way more serious than the other. So when you're asking a loved one, it's important for you to understand if they have passive thoughts versus active thoughts. And of course, a passive thought is when they just wanna go to sleep and not wake up again. They just wanna escape. They wanna die, but they're not doing anything about it. That's a more passive thought. An active thought is, "You know what? I wanna kill myself, and this is what I wanna do to get the plan," and when they're thinking about it for a long time, trying to get their affairs in order, as they say, give away things, selling houses. Those are definitely signs, very concerning signs that someone is really serious about doing. And, a risk factor, untreated. If you have mental illness and it's untreated, you have trauma and it's untreated, and 2, suicide. So, a lot of those things are warning signs too when some people start to withdraw from their loved ones. They're talking about they wanna die, they're feeling like a burden, sudden mood improvement after a long period of sadness. So that let's stop there because sudden mood improvement after a period of sadness, well, that's good, that means they're feeling better. No, maybe they had a period of sadness and now they're feeling better because they know, "Yep, I'm about to do something to kill myself." So starting to feel a little better because now I know what I'm gonna do. I've made the decision to act on it. Ooh, so that's scary too. If somebody's suddenly feeling better or if they're suddenly feeling super high and high energy, no need for sleep, maybe they're manic now. Maybe they have bipolar. So it's definitely something to pay attention to if there's a sudden improvement and they've been depressed for so long. So I talked about the risk factors, untreated mental illness, substance abuse, it just makes things worse. Alcohol makes things worse. I see someone say hi on Instagram. Hello. Substance abuse, people turn to for self-medication, but it may make you feel well in the moment, but it doesn't make you feel well over time. It makes it worse. Talking about suicide doesn't put the idea in someone's head, it just opens up the door for help. And that's a myth where some people feel like, well, if I ask them, do they want to kill themselves? It gives them the idea, especially if you're talking about your child. That's how you feel, right? No, 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 no. If they're already thinking about it, they're already thinking about it. If they get the idea all of a sudden, it's because they already was heading their way. You asking them doesn't make them suicidal. Right? If you're absolutely not suicidal, but you're depressed, someone asking you if you're suicidal or wanna kill yourself doesn't make you suicidal, it just makes you like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm not that depressed. No, no, no." Because I get that a lot. I have to ask all my patients, especially my first-time patients. I'm asking them that question. Have you ever had suicidal thoughts? Have you ever had thoughts that you wanted to die? Have you ever harmed yourself or had thoughts you want to harm yourself? There's so many different ways to ask, and I ask it every way. Harm yourself, kill yourself, wanna die, not like your life. There's different ways, and you can get different responses depending on how you ask. So it's definitely important to ask. And that really gets into the first part of the QPR. QPR, that is a major part of why I'm doing this episode. CPR is crisis intervention when someone has a cardiac arrest. Somebody's heart stopped. You're gonna do CPR. Everybody knows CPR. Chest compressions, continuous chest compressions, making sure that person get their heart and blood flow back to their heart so that they can survive. So, QPR, someone in a mental health crisis, someone in a crisis, they're wanting to die, or you think they might be wanting to die, or they might be feeling suicidal. Use QPR. In fact, it's a really quick training about QPR that anybody can go through. It's not just for professionals, it is for you, because if you can save a life, something that's happening every 11 minutes, someone is completing suicide or dying by suicide, but it's preventable, but you can actually do something about it and interject and not be scared to ask a question. That's what this is about. So let's jump right into QPR. Q stands for question. Ask the person directly. Someone's down, they're withdrawn, they're not the same. They're not sleeping, or they're sleeping too much. They're not showing up for work, or they're drinking more alcohol, or doing more drugs. Whatever the sign that you see, Q, question them. Ask directly if they're thinking about suicide. Hey, are you thinking about hurting yourself? You may start out, how you been? Are you okay? You seem different. I noticed that you're not showing up for work. I noticed you've been sleeping a lot. I noticed you haven't been reaching out as much. Are you okay? In fact, have you been thinking about hurting yourself? I just want to make sure. Have you been thinking about wanting to end your life? If they say yes, okay. You think you are thinking about wanting to end your life? Have you been thinking about a plan of what to do? Because now you're gauging how active that thought is. And they say yes. What plan? What's the plan? And if they share the plan, that's good. But if they have a plan, that's for sure crisis. It's time to go. It's time to go see somebody, professional help. So after you get through that cue of asking the question, are you thinking about hurting yourself? You get a response, and the response is yes. P, persuade. QPR, question, persuade. Because at this point, they told you they want to die. They told you they don't like their life. They told you they've been thinking about how they want to kill themselves. They told you the plan. So you need to persuade them to get help and just reassure them that they're not alone. They're clearly not alone. 11 minutes, every 11 minutes, there's someone dying by suicide. So if you're talking to somebody and they're feeling this way, they're clearly not alone. The stats are there. I care about you. Let's find help together. All the things you want to say. I mean, sharing maybe a time when you've been through it. Maybe you haven't had suicidal thoughts yourself, but sharing anything where they can relate to makes them feel better. It's okay to not be okay. Let me help you. Finding a protective factor for them. Protective factors are the opposite of risk factors. So, a risk factor, like I said, mental illness, trauma, substance abuse, isolation. A protective factor is a strong relationship, spirituality, religion, access to care, hope, future orientation. They're looking forward to the future. They're looking forward to a job. They're looking forward to a vacation. That's a protective factor. So when you're persuading them and you're trying to convince them, let's do this together, we got this, and trying to help them see that hope, you're thinking about what are their protective factors. Hey, you have kids, you're not a burden. They would really be distraught and depressed if you left. Don't do this. This is preventable. Depression is something that can heal you. These are things that you are saying to them. Depression is something that can end. You can experience joy again. Joy is still possible. You're not the therapist. I get that. This isn't the point of time for you to try to cure the depression. And honestly, if they're thinking about suicide, they really don't want to hear all that anyway, as far as what life they have ahead of them and how life is amazing. They do not have the mental capacity for that. But of course, you can try to say the things, but the key is to persuade them to get help. Q, question, ask directly. Are you thinking about suicide? Are you thinking about hurting yourself? P, persuade them to get the help and reassure them they're not alone. What is the R? Refer. Now it's time to refer them. Refer them to the right resource. Now, if they're literally like, yeah, I've been thinking about taking this knife, or they have a knife in their hand, they have a gun in their hand. Whoa, yeah, yeah. We need to call 911 at this point. If it's not that severe where they have something, but they're just talking about a plan, 988. You can call 988. It's a crisis line. You can chat 988. You can text 988. You can call 988. And you can connect them with a therapist. You can take them to the ER because they should be evaluated to urgent care somewhere, or get them into a psychiatrist. A lot of places like Grady Park Place in Atlanta, you just go right there. I mean, as long as it's between certain times, they have certain walk-in times. I think it's like 8 to 2. You can just go right then and get a psychiatrist right then on the spot. Georgia also has GCAL, Georgia Crisis Access Line, and I used to know that number by heart. It's something like, let's see if I can get it, 1-800-715-4226. Let me see, I'm testing my skills here. GCAL, Georgia Crisis Access Line. Let's see. Oh, close. I was one number off. 1-800-715-4225. I, as a mental health professional, actually called it, and I'm glad I called it, and I needed to call it. I had a family member in crisis, and so I was flustered. I'm like, "I'm a whole psychiatrist." I didn't know what to do, so I called GCAL, 1-800-715-4225, and they were very helpful. They asked a lot of questions. They were very helpful, and they helped me figure out what to do. My mind was just frozen. So they gave me resources. I didn't need anyone to come out, but they actually can come out to the house or to wherever the person is and evaluate them. And that's not even 911, say if you didn't want to call 911. So there's GCAL, that's Georgia. But in other states, I'm sure there's places like that. But at the very least, 988 is across the all state lines. And if you gotta call 911, call 911. But if the person has a plan of what to do, that is an urgency. If it's the passive thoughts, 'cause I see a lot of patients out that just, outpatient once a week or every other week, and they have these chronic thoughts. But as long as it stays passive, no plan, they're still functioning, relationships, going to work, going to school, but they're just like, "Doc, I just have this thought in the back of my head. I just don't wanna live, but I'm here. I'm not gonna do it. I've never attempted suicide. I've never had, harmful, hurt myself or cut myself." Then it's kinda like, "Okay, let's get you in some therapy, medication, consistent therapy," but they don't have to go to urgent care, right? So, at the end of the day, QPR, you can use this on your loved one or a friend to help them out of a crisis, especially if no one else is around. It's not just for professionals. Anyone can learn and anyone can save a life. How else can you support others? Because it's scary. Outside of when someone loses a person, you just don't know what to say. It's hard. You don't know what to say when someone's lost someone. And if someone's depressed and suicidal, a lot of people feel like they don't know what to say. Just listen. Listen without judgment. I mean, at that point, they're not doing anything. They talking to you. You see them, they're safe. Just listen without judgment. Let them speak freely without their trying to fix the thing immediately because they already feel this way. They already gonna feel like you can't fix it. So just listen. And usually that's a good strategy to ask somebody anyway. You want me to listen or you want me to try to fix it? Because when you try to fix something too prematurely, you're looking like you're not sympathetic, like, "Oh, you'll get over it. Oh, it's okay. Oh, just listen without judgment. That's how you can support your loved one. Stay connected, especially if you're on the phone talking to them and they seem to feel better. The next day, check in on them, send a text message, show up to their house because isolation is dangerous. Especially if that loneliness, that's a risk factor. So you leaving them lonely and, I don't wanna seem like everything's on you, but the point of this is that I'm training you, the listener, of how to show up and be there for somebody who is going through it. It's a suicide prevention month, so don't feel like, "Oh, why is this all on me?" Well, you're the one listening, you wanna go into training so you can be able to feel comfortable doing this. So anyway, stay connected, show up for them, send a text, see how they're doing, like, "Hey, we had this conversation yesterday, you didn't sound too good. How are you? Everything okay?" You have to check in on yourself too, because a lot of times, and if you have that friend that consistently is dark, of course you gotta check in on yourself, like, how much is this draining you? Get them QPR them, refer them, and then, maybe distance yourself once they get in therapy, but because 'cause you're not their therapist, right? We don't want you to get emotionally or mentally drained. But if they're going through something, This is a part of knowing the facts so that you can be able to help somebody, knowing the resources. Something as simple as 988. It sounds like 911. There's 911, there's 988. 988 is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. There's local hotlines, like I mentioned, GCAL, and of course, therapy options. Therapy for Black girls, therapy for Black men, all kinds of places. DrEnjoyLife.com. There's so many places. Of course, I'm gonna plug myself. What if it's you? What if you're listening and you're like, "Oh my gosh, she's talking about me." Maybe you didn't realize it. Now that you're listening to the symptoms of depression, or maybe you did know, but for some reason you just don't feel comfortable seeing somebody. It's important to see somebody. It's important to get that help so that you can continue to be there for other people and so that you can figure out what your life is about and why you're here. If you're not at the point of suicide, but you're just feeling so drained and burnt out, of course, self-care, Imma talk about self-care. We're gonna talk about more of that next week as we merge Self-Care Awareness Month and Suicide Prevention Month. But prioritizing self-care really helps. Self-care can save your life when you care for yourself, and that starts mentally, talking positively to yourself, changing your negative thoughts to positive thoughts. It takes work. I mean, right now, you have a PhD in negative thoughts, so we have to undo all that. So it's gonna take work to undo all that. It's to think positively and to do the things that prioritize you and your self-care. Sleep. Depression affects sleep. So some of the people with severe depression are sleeping too much already, so sleep is not the answer. But if you are working so hard that you're not getting enough sleep, incorporating that back in, incorporating nutrition. Sometimes food can make you feel really sad and heavy and in the dumps and all the things. So eating lighter, eating healthier, eating cleaner, moving, exercising, always helpful for your self-care. And just simply being able to reset. Oh, it says reset. Okay, I'm not taking credit for this shirt. The Faith Center, Lady C, my first lady, she puts on these women's, I wanna say retreat, but these women's talks every quarter of the year, the Faith Center, that's my church, so you need to reset and take a break. Downtime isn't a luxury. Self-care isn't a luxury. It is okay for you to prioritize sleep, proper nutrition, exercise, self-care. It's a lifeline. It's what you need to feel human. Because once again, depression can come with feeling numb and feeling non-existent and feeling like you can't feel. A lot of people feel like that. Good evening. Hello on Instagram. Thank you. So, yes, so self-care is extremely important and just naming your feelings. Because when you're not self-aware and understanding why you are feeling this way, that's difficult. So if you start to slow down and pay attention to your thoughts, journal, say out loud, I feel hopeless. That is how I feel. Acknowledge it. Tell yourself the truth. Don't lie and say you don't feel that you just all right. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I got this. Well, okay, that's motivational. But do you? Do you got this? Are you okay? Are you hopeless? Naming your feelings opens the door to seeking help. Once you finally realize, I'm depressed, I want to die, I don't like my life, then you realize, oh my God, wait, whoa, let me get help. If you actually allow yourself to really think that thought that you're having. And it doesn't mean you're going to get committed to a psych ward automatically. It just means let's get the help. But you have to build your lifeline list. Who are you gonna talk to when you're feeling like that? Who can you trust? We got 988, 911, and GCAL, but at least write down 3 people or resources that you can call or text when you do feel overwhelmed. Who is that person? Who does that go to? Maybe that person's they're not there, they can't answer. Who's the second person? That's why you need 3 people, because not everybody is gonna answer in that time of need. At the very least, if you don't have 3 people to contact or you contacted those 3 people and they're not available, then there's 988, there's a crisis line. Sometimes just getting yourself out and not isolating yourself, not withdrawing from others, That helps. It helps you get out of your head. When you're in your head and just thinking about, "Oh, woe is me. I'm terrible. I'm this, I'm that." Then you're talking to somebody else. Heck, maybe they're talking about their problems, and that's definitely gonna make you not think about your problem. But anyway, hopefully that doesn't drain you. But my point is that talking to somebody helps you get out of your head and just try to shift towards joy daily. Focus on a joy shift each day. Practicing gratitude. I feel like I've said this multiple times this week in different platforms, but gratitude and anxiety cannot sit at the same table. If you are grateful of all the things that you do have, you're not anxious about the things you don't have. So try your best to fill your void with gratitude and just notice the small wins, things that are small. I was talking to a group of people today, asking them, "Well, what's your joy? What's your self care?" And somebody just said, just taking in air, breathing. Oh, wow. Just sitting silent with yourself. That felt good. Closing my eyes and taking a deep breath. It feels good. So do one joyful act each day for you, whether it's listening to Hans Zimmer, that's my go-to if I'm gonna listen to some music that's gonna calm me down, or of course going for a run. Do something for joy each day. If you're not at that point and you are in a very dark place, very negative thoughts, spiraling, overthinking, can't get out of it, please seek help. Call 988 if you need to. Again, this does not replace therapy, what I'm doing right now. I am not your therapist, unless I am your therapist and you're just watching, and I'll see you at the next appointment. But in general, I'm not your therapist. This isn't therapy. I'm glad you're here listening, but if you need help, call 988 or call 911 or seek help. Psychology Today, therapy for Black girls, therapy for Black men. Look up, call the number on the back of your insurance card and get that help today. Most people, everybody should have a primary care physician. So if you have a primary care physician, go see them. They're the front row, at the front row of all of this, so they can get you in line with someone that can help. Remember, depression is real and suicide is preventable and joy is still possible. So if you or someone or you know is struggling, dial 988 right now if you need to. I am accepting new patients, but it's 7:30 p.m. You can call me, but I'm gonna respond tomorrow to see if you are a good fit for the practice. But if you need help right this second, 988 right now. You don't need to be a doctor to save a life. You just need to be willing to ask, persuade, refer. Question, persuade, refer. QPR. Thank you for listening. This has been an Enjoy Life production. If you're in a crisis, don't hesitate. Call, text, or chat 988 for immediate support. Please note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional treatment. If you're looking for therapy or medication management through Enjoy Life, visit www.drenjoylife.com to request a consultation. I'm licensed in 12 states. I accept Aetna in Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. Be sure to grab your copy of the Enjoy Note to help you on your wellness journey. Also check out Inspire Joy for the wife, mom, boss to help you balance it all without losing yourself. Better yet, get the full Joy bundle for just $45. Remember, Journey to Joy Live is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, may you continue to transform stress into joy.